Hello, my name is Scott Garrison. You may remember me as Scott the Barber or just as Ron and Carla's son. I've been involved in our community since opening Scott's Barbershop on the southeast corner of 3rd and Main in 1998. Now I'm back in the same building as Garrison Financial. I started investing in my 20s. I invested through the dot-com crash and the Great Recession. I started caring for other people's money in 2018, and I truly enjoy sitting down with my clients, understanding their wants and needs as well as what keeps them up at night. Whether my friends just want me to invest a little of their savings or want me to work with their tax and legal professionals to strive towards optimal efficiency, we can do it all. I believe communication is key to helping my clients reach their goals. For if we are faithful over a few things, we shall be given more. Contact me at scott@soonerwealth.com. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Garrison Financial and Cambridge are not affiliated. This communication is strictly intended for individuals residing in the states of Colorado, Nevada, Oklahoma, and Texas. No offers may be made or accepted from any resident outside the specific states referenced. Cambridge does not offer tax and legal advice.
If you build it, he will.
It's the Skinny on Sports Podcast with Aaron Cowk.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cowk with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
And a good Garrison Financial Friday out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports. We're right here on 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. We're glad to have you along for the next hour. Get into some of those the comments that John Rahm made before the RBC. I thought it was awesome. It's getting harder and harder not to like him. The Devil Rays tie history yesterday by smashing the Red Sox again. See what Jared's got on tap for the weekend. Of course, tonight, NBA play-in, Thunder Wolves. We'll break that down, what needs to happen, what has to happen for the Thunder to win. Did you see C.J. McCollum's comments after the Pelicans lost to the Thunder? Felt like those were pointed at somebody. And then who has the most pressure going into these playoffs? Who has the most pressure? What team? What team, not just player, but team, has the most pressure to win the NBA title? I added that one, Jared. It wasn't on the rundown.
I saw that
immediately.
All right, I hear that now. Yeah,
I added that one.
It's all right.
We'll have Scotty G coming up in the next segment or sometime here. He's finishing up breakfast, so he'll be over here in just a little bit. And then a weird occurrence in sports for your Rangers. Well, during a Ranger game, I guess. And we'll talk about that. And then what else? What are some of the other more improbable? So that's the question on the text line. So what happened was Bobby Witt Jr. was at the plate. He fouls off a pitch down the right field line. It lands in the suite occupied by his dad, who catches the foul ball. So, I mean, the odds of a son hitting a foul ball in a major league ballpark to his dad are pretty rare, I would say. But I've written down a couple things that I think are way more rare.
Okay.
Way more improbable. And that's the question on the text line for the listeners. What are the most improbable occurrences in sports history?
Stuff that you've seen that
has happened.
It
has
you
happened.
can't just make something
Yeah,
up.
I mean,
there's a lot of stuff you could just make up.
You can't go back to the McDonald's commercials in the mid-'90s with MJ and Larry Bird throwing it around the world and making it.
Right.
That's not going to happen. These things have actually – what have you actually seen happen where you thought, oh, my goodness, that'll never happen again? 225-9698 is the phone or the text line, 225-9698. Give us a call, shoot us a text. We can talk about any of those things, whatever else might be on your mind. Feel free to chime in at 225-9698 if you're going to be outside the listening area. A couple ways to stay in touch with the show. Log on to kadsam.com. Download the app. The app's got it all. It's got radio, the Penny News. Go pick up a free copy of the Penny News at your favorite local newsstand. Big Elk and Paragon TV are in there as well when we're rolling through the high school sports. Skinny on Sports podcast available everywhere. Anywhere you can get a podcast, you can find the Skinny on Sports KADSAM.com is one of those places. iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, and on and on and on is where you can find our show if you missed it entirely. Hello, Jared. How are you this morning?
I'm very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I want to let the listeners think about the improbable stuff. So we're going to kind of invert what we've got here.
Gotcha.
So that the question was, what is the most improbable thing you've seen happen in sports that you saw it and you went, well, I'll never see that again? Because I mentioned Bobby Witt Jr. fouling off a ball into the hands of his dad. Scott hit one of the ones that I have written down.
That's a good one.
No doubt.
We'll bring that up later.
Yes.
That's a real good one, Scott.
Yes, that's one I wrote down two, and that was one of them. Man, did you see Rahm's comments?
No. Bring me up to speed on this.
Okay, so he was asked, obviously Jon Rahm is the reigning or current Masters champ after last week's victory down in Augusta. He went to Harbor Town to play this week's RBC Heritage, the week after becoming the Masters champ. Mm-hmm. Notably, Rory McIlroy did not do such a thing. He withdrew after missing the cut at the Masters. Rahm was asked about that. Like, man, did you ever think, did it ever cross your mind not to come after winning at Augusta and putting on the green jacket? And he said, absolutely not. It never occurred to me. He said, I made this commitment months ago. And he said, basically, what would it be telling the kids? The kids that are going to the RBC Heritage, they want to see the Master champ. He said, and if I was a kid going to the RBC Heritage, I would want to see the guy that just won the Masters. And so therefore, Not only did I make that commitment months ago, but also I need to show up because I am the Masters champ. I thought that was so refreshing in this time in golf where it seems like everybody is trying to figure out a way to make the most money with the least amount of effort. And a lot of times the people that get, that ruins is the kids, is the fans. Mm-hmm. Jon Rahm has it figured out.
Well, this is more than just golf. I mean, take notes, superstars in the NBA.
That's correct. I mean,
there are people who pay money to come see you play.
Think about Michael Jordan. He always talked about that, where he didn't want to miss a game because it might be some kid in the stands' only chance to see him play.
Right.
And that's kind of essentially what Rahm was. Here's the exact quote.
Bravo.
I made a commitment earlier in the year, and I want to honor that commitment. I put myself in the shoes of not only the spectators but the kids. If I was one of those kids, I would want to see the recent Masters champion play. It's awesome. It's exactly right.
That is very awesome. Yes.
Everybody on the text line is picking the same crazy occurrence in sports.
I'm racking my brain because that's a good one. That was crazy. I'm racking my brain of some other improbable sports moments.
There's one more that I think is even more improbable.
We're not talking about upsets, right? We're not talking about a 16 seed beating a 1 seed. Nothing like. We're talking about just like a play or something like. Whoa! What are the chances of that? Those analytical stuff like that. He had a 2% chance of catching that football in the end zone, something like that.
Yeah,
stuff you'll never see. I got one in mind.
All right, Scott's joining us now on this Garrison Financial Friday. There he is. What's up, Scotty?
Well. Let's just alter the show for the late guy.
Wow. I was just listening.
Do you have one of what is the most improbable thing you've ever seen in sports?
The most improbable thing.
Just like you see it and you go, that'll never happen again.
Oh God, I'd have to think about that.
A lot of people have the same one.
Which one is that?
Randy Johnson hitting the bird.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Randy Johnson hitting the bird was one of those things when you saw it, you went, we'll never see that again.
That's very true.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Money Man.
I'll have to think about that one.
The Money Man is here, and I have compiled. I have done. I have done at least like 10 minutes worth of research on this.
All right.
So one of the biggest things in the news of sports right now started yesterday, kind of broke yesterday afternoon, that Daniel Snyder is selling the Washington Redskins / Commanders for $6 billion with a B dollars. And it got me to thinking because it felt like when we've heard about these sales over the past decade or so, it's just been like, oh my gosh, they did what? They bought them for what? And huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've found the list of the last 10 franchises to sell in North American sports. This would be the 11th. Just from a percentage basis, what do you think is the least percentage, basically return on investment, on any of these last 10 sells? Because, for instance, Daniel Snyder's 679%, going from $770 million to $6 billion. So what do you think is the least?
The least would have to be 500%.
You're pretty close. It's just a tick, 365%. And that was the L.A. Dodgers, who Frank McCourt bought in 2004 for $430 million, and then sold in, I think, 2012 is when Magic and those guys bought the Guggenheim Group for $2 billion. 365%. So the numbers are staggering.
Now, how long did he own it?
8 years.
Wow,
8 years.
That's a pretty good return on investment.
Now there's some of these that are, even, the longer you've owned them, obviously,
the larger.
Except what, Mikhail Prokhorov bought the Brooklyn Nets in 2010 for $223 million, and he sold them in 2018 for $235. So he made almost 1,000% in his 8 years. Robert Sarver made almost 1,000% in about 10 years of owning the Suns, from 401 to $4 billion. Do either of you two have a guess as far as this last 10 list, who made the most return on their investment when they sold their franchise? It was probably the most. I will say this:
I'm horrible with this stuff.
Outside of Dan Snyder, this one was probably the most controversial of the owners that have sold lately.
It would have to be the Kings, not the Kings. What's the guy that had to sell because he? Yeah,
you're on the right track.
The Clippers.
The Clippers, yeah. Donald
Clippers.
Sterling.
Yeah.
So Donald Sterling bought the Clip Show in 1981.
Oh wow!
For $12 million. $12 million, and he sold them for $2 billion. He was forced to sell for $2 billion. He was forced to make a 16,567% return on his Clipper investment.
Okay, I guess I'll sell.
So,
all right.
Is it safe to say that buying of sports franchises is the most locked down, for sure investment you can make?
I'm not supposed to give investment advice on the air, but I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say, folks, if you have a couple $1 billion laying around, it would be a wise choice to buy you a professional sports franchise. I hope I don't get in any trouble for that. Hopefully the SEC won't go down on me.
Now, would there be just is there any sort in your mind, just like a little bit of a pause, thinking this can't continue to go up? Like, do you think there's any sort of bubble aspect to this? But
I don't know. Yeah. That's it's funny because what I was going to talk about today, I was just a buddy of mine that I was just having breakfast with. I didn't know about these websites that have these bots that automatically buy shoes. Did you guys know about this stuff?
No.
Yep.
I knew he'd know because he was wearing those Steelers shoes.
That's
last
right.
Week. They're always going to be the Steelers shoes.
Okay, whatever.
So like Nike is just about to have a new release. Okay. And he told me that if you don't have your information into their website and saved like a month in advance, you have zero chance of buying those because these bots go in and buy all of them. Then they just immediately mark it up and put it on a new website.
Really? So it's almost like a ticket thing.
So like he showed me one is a $110 pair of shoes from Nike, and it was selling on this other website for $937.
Holy Moses.
I believe it.
And that's
You'll never get them on at retail, ever.
Yeah. And that's a 5-time rate of return. That's 5x rate of return, and that's in hours, not. That's just however long it takes them to ship it to you, and you turn around and sell it. And he said that some high school kid was one of the first ones that did this. Said he's making millions now. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. How come I couldn't come up with it?
I know.
I was too busy fishing and talking to
Girls.
hot chicks, you know.
Well, this guy's talking to hot chicks now. I can guarantee you that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that kid is talking to hot chicks now.
Yeah, it turns out he got the best of both worlds.
Oh, my gosh. But, yeah, it shows you how out of touch I am with I always knew about the sneakerhead thing that's going on, but I didn't know it was at this level. You know, Sam would be like, "Oh yeah, Dad, those tennis shoes right there cost $1,000," and I was like, "There's no way some idiot would pay $1,000." Apparently, there was a lot of idiots.
Wow.
I guess.
Yeah, I'm not paying
idiots.
that much, but haven't I turned you on that one website where it's similar to this? I'm not sure if it's like a bot thing, but you can they find these shoes, and no, you're not paying retail, but they can find you a deal if you look hard enough.
Yeah,
I'll have to show you this.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I'm all for deals.
Me too. I mean,
guy.
I like my shoes, but I'm not paying that much money for them. No way.
No.
And if I can go to a local retail store, which I have lately, kudos. I won't say their name because they're not sponsors. They should be, but they're finally bringing out their merch from the back and putting it up front. I guess it's new management or whatever. And suddenly they're having shoes that you would have to go to the city for to get, and it's at retail.
There you go.
So. But yeah, I mean, I've heard of this thing. Yeah, it's just like Ticketmaster. You know, if tickets release on 10 a.m. on Friday, for Taylor Swift or
but this
forget
is like,
about it. You're not getting them.
But this one that I was looking at, it's got like everything too, and like they had a Coachella T-shirt on there.
Yeah,
and it said "Make offer."
Yeah.
Can you imagine if 10 years ago you bought a T-shirt at a concert?
And then now you can sell it for $1,000.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, but and I mean, did it not? Because I was thinking about this because you were talking about him as I pulled up. I mean, the sneaker thing literally started with Jordan, right?
There's a movie about it.
There's
right?
a movie out. I need
so
to
that's
see,
why
yeah.
I was going to talk about this. You know, I mean, I think the entire league wore Converse before.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Nike was just a track and field thing. No one
took
them really seriously in the basketball world until Michael Jordan came along.
Yeah,
it wasn't a thing. I mean, there was Converse with like Larry and Magic, but Nike and Jordan was the first to really put it front and center to pay attention to what was on somebody's feet when they played basketball.
I remember Shaq came out with the pump.
Yes,
that was big time.
Yeah, was it D. Brown of the Celtics that would pump up his shoes in the dunk contest before he dunked the one time?
Right, yeah.
And then he put his hand over his eyes like he couldn't see, and he won because he pumped up his shoes. Yeah, but it all started there, with Michael and what was Spike Mars Blackman on the commercials. It's got to be the shoes. It's got to be the shoes, Mike.
That's right, yeah.
Money. It's got to be the shoes. I mean, just that all seems like – to kids now, my son, oh, yeah, I want the Stephs or the whatever. Now all of a sudden there's all these people. Mm-hmm. But back then it was just there was one. It was just one. You're going to get the Jordans or you got to get just a tennis shoe.
Yeah.
Now
I got the
everybody's
tennis shoe.
I got one time for Christmas, I got the Jordans.
Man.
Oh, dude, and they were the best ones, like the third or fourth. It was widely recognized as the coolest ones that there were. I think it was the ones he wore for the first title against the Lakers.
The third day I had him, I would have ripped a hole in the side of him or something.
Well,
that's just who I am.
I didn't wear them much.
That is the thing.
Just wore him to the juniher high dance. Is that what you?
Yeah.
Maybe to the like sixth grade basketball or practice on the carpet at Northeast or something like that. Oh man! All right, so tax day, the date is tomorrow. But it turns out it doesn't really happen until Tuesday because the weekend, and then Monday. Do you know what Monday is?
Yeah, but I ain't going to get an account open for you.
You're not.
Yeah, but if you're like me and you file an extension every single year like I do, then, yeah, come down and talk to me. But also, there's a lot of people that are seeing everything going on in the news, and it has a lot of people worried, and maybe it's time to start talking about some different alternatives that you have as far as investments go that can help protect some of those gains that you've made over the last several years. So if you have any questions about that stuff, come down. Let's take a look at what you got. Let's take a look at making sure that we can protect your income for years to come.
Something that I'm just starting to hear with commercials because of obviously what's happening is gold. Buying gold. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing how when the news starts to kind of turn bad economically, you start to hear these commercials about buy gold, come buy gold, gold wire or gold line or what.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Once
how that
again,
happens.
I'm not supposed to give investment advice on the air. I'll just say this: YouTube what Warren Buffett has to say about gold.
Okay.
There you go. That way, it won't be my advice.
That'll be
his.
Warren Buffett's advice to the folks. By the way, anybody want to? Either one of you guys? Do you remember what the Thunder sold for?
No.
Or was purchased for by Clay Bennett?
I remember it. I remember how big of a deal it was.
They paid $350 million in 2006. Want a shot at the estimated value of the Thunder right now?
Oh gosh.
What is it?
1.5.
$1.75 billion. And when you look back at the history of these sales in the last 10, whatever the estimated value was at the time, you could add anywhere from $250 to $500 million to what the sales price was. So you're looking at $2 to $2.25 billion if they were to actually sell it right now. Right now, it's only a 400% gain.
That's all.
If they sold it for estimated value.
And so remind me, how did they get it moved to Oklahoma City?
Okay.
I don't remember. I remember how crazy. Seattle refused to build a new
That's what happened.
Coliseum. Okay.
That's what happened. They bought it from, what's his name, Howard Schultz, who was the Starbucks guy.
Yeah.
They bought it from him. And the sale was almost contingent upon, as far as staying there, because they had an older arena or didn't have the modern amenities. And the voters of Seattle, before Schultz sold it, turned down a proposal to add $220 million to build a new arena. So then that's when Bennett and that group saw the opportunity, seized on it, made the purchase, and then they, in turn, wanted a guarantee of a $500 million facility.
Or they got to
move the team. And when that didn't happen, when that didn't come through by a certain time, voila. Ford Center, here we come, baby.
And meanwhile, if memory serves me right, Oklahoma City had passed something to improve Ford
Well, we
Center.
were right in the middle of all of the
maps and all that.
Project.
Right, and they said, let's put this on the vote.
Yeah, think about Maps 5 came about that quick.
Yeah.
When you kind of see the writing on the wall.
And Oklahoma Cityans said, yes, let's improve our venue.
And as we've already talked in the past about it, I mean, that building has made Oklahoma City a ton of money.
Yeah, and
a ton of money.
And when you look at it,
got a lot of my money the other weekend. Oh, boy.
Shockingly enough, when you look around, it's like the second oldest one there is.
Yeah.
And it feels like
it doesn't feel like
no,
that.
it doesn't.
But kudos to the city for not letting it just sit there. Just they're adding on to it. They've changed where the main entrance is. If you think about it, it's more to the south, where it's closer to the Omni. But you can get in on either side, Reno side. But there's a lot. I was just in there recently. It's really cool.
Well, they've continued. I mean, they've continued to pour money into it. But I'm telling you.
But
they're already talking about it. We talked about it a month ago or whatever. Already, what's the plan?
Yeah.
And you know what? You know what happens when that occurs? That they're at $1.75 billion with that arena.
Now they just got a $500 million increase.
Or $1 billion increase.
Thanks to the city doing it.
That's correct.
Man, wouldn't that be great to have a business and have other people pay for you to run it?
1,000,000%. Isn't that the goal in life?
All right.
All right, Scott. Thanks for joining us. Have a good weekend.
Don't run off. I got a question. I got an off-air question for you.
So
let's get off air.
The important ones. All right, it's Garrison Financial Friday. Scott in the house. Scott at SoonerWealth.com. 124 North Main Street is where his office is located for all your full financial planning. This is a perfect time to do that. You're getting your tax return. Don't go waste it on a boat. Invest. We'll be back.
Hello, my name is Scott Garrison. You may remember me as Scott the Barber or just as Ron and Carla's son. I've been involved in our community since opening Scott's Barbershop on the southeast corner of 3rd and Main in 1998. Now I'm back in the same building as Garrison Financial. I started investing in my 20s. I invested through the dot-com crash and the Great Recession. I started caring for other people's money in 2018, and I truly enjoy sitting down with my clients, understanding their wants and needs as well as what keeps them up at night. Whether my friends just want me to invest a little of their savings or want me to work with their tax and legal professionals to strive towards optimal efficiency, we can do it all. I believe communication is key to helping my clients reach their goals. For if we are faithful over a few things, we shall be given more. Contact me at scott@SoonerWealth.com. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Garrison Financial and Cambridge are not affiliated. This communication is strictly intended for individuals residing in the states of Colorado, Nevada, Oklahoma, and Texas. No offers may be made or accepted from any resident outside the specific states referenced. Cambridge does not offer tax and legal advice.
The Skinny on Sports.
Welcome back. It's Garrison Financial Friday right here on the Skinny on Sports. 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Always great when Scott joins us on a Friday. Garrison Financial. Scott Garrison, he's been in this community basically, his entire life. He's been here. Cut hair. Now he's taking care and growing people's money. He does full financial planning, shops the open market to bring the best value on your life insurance and your investments. There's many more things he does. We'll continue to tell you all about Scott as we move along throughout the show. Scott@SoonerWealth.com is the email address. 124 North Main Street is his office location, downtown Elk City. We've got some answers to the question. The question at hand was, what are the most improbable occurrences that have happened in sports? Everybody jumped on one that I had written down, which was Randy Johnson throwing a baseball through a bird in the spring training game. Not going to see that one again. There was a bunch of people that had that one at the top of their list. Another one that's actually in the game, Fernando Tatis hitting 2 grand slams in 1 inning. Yeah, that one's rare. That one's going to be up toward the top of the rarity list for sure. Continue to fire those in. 225-9698. I have one written down that I think is even more rare than anything that's been mentioned yet. Even more rare than Randy Johnson killing a bird with a baseball.
That's pretty rare.
I'm telling you, when you
even if you try, you're not going to hit the bird with a baseball if you're trying to.
When I tell you this one, you'll go,
flying.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was odd.
I'm suddenly piling up a few here, so I'm kind of anxious to get to this.
Okay. We'll do that in the last segment. We'll do it that way. It gets everybody a chance to think about it. Text us in 225-9698. Tell us about what do you think is the most rare occurrence in sports tonight. Something that hasn't been rare around these parts, and I don't think it's going to be very rare anymore. The Thunder in the play-in beat New Orleans on Wednesday night, 123-118. Now they get a chance to actually make it into a series as the 8th seed with a game tonight in Minneapolis against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Wolves had the Lakers on the ropes on Tuesday night, and L.A. wriggled off the hook, ends up winning in overtime. What has to happen tonight for the Thunder to not only be a play-in team, but in turn actually be a playoff team if they can win tonight in Minnesota?
Well, just maintain the course here. Of what they did on New Orleans or at New Orleans on Wednesday, with the confidence and everything we've talked about in that environment, it's going to happen again. They're no stranger to these close games, hostile environments, win or go home now situations. So just maintain the course. Don't panic when Minnesota comes out and they go up 6-2 after the first TV timeout or whatever. And I think they should be okay for reasons we'll talk about coming up.
Once again, just as it was with New Orleans, Minnesota beat the Thunder 3 out of 4. But the difference here is those games all occurred before the calendar turned to 2023. I think the last game was, December?
It's like a whole new season.
There's a lot, obviously differences between the two. Let me go back here. I think it was December 16th. It's crazy that they played 4 times before that, but they started right off the bat. 2 of the first 3 games were against each other, and then the last game, December 3rd was a win for the Thunder, the only win, and then December 16th was the final game between these 2 combatants. So once again, just as the Pelicans had done, winning 3 out of 4 against Oklahoma City, that's exactly what the Timberwolves did against OKC. Once again, fairly close games. 115-108, 116-106. Thunder won by 7, and then the Wolves won the last game by 2 in Oklahoma City, 112-110. I think, I talked about how Shea kind of, in my mind, needed to let the game come to him on Wednesday. A big part of why I thought that was because of the matchup with Herb Jones. As good a defender as he is for New Orleans. New Orleans had kind of not had Shea's number, but they had made him be way less efficient than what we're used to seeing. That ain't the case in this one. Shea has lit Minnesota on fire with 30-point games, shooting right around or above 50% in all of those games. And the difference is, I don't know that Minnesota has anybody that can guard him. Do you want to put Anthony Edwards on him and then risk Edwards' ability to score? Now, he's coming off an abysmal shooting night against the Lakers, 3 of 17, missed all 9 threes. So you would imagine he has some sort of bounce back positively for Minnesota on the offensive end. But, man, tonight, I'm a little bit opposite. I think that this needs to be Shea being Shea from the beginning. That doesn't mean he needs to take 30 shots. But I think he needs to be a little bit more aggressive in this game, especially early on. I don't think you can see him roll into halftime with 6 points like he did on Wednesday night and the Thunder be in touch with the Timberwolves.
Well, I have that written down as he needs to get going early. You can't really rely on Dort to do what he did, because I don't want to say an anomaly. He's a good player, but we've said it too. We can't have Dort going out there just jacking up shots, but he did on Wednesday, and they all went in, and that kind of stayed the
first half for sure.
Kept him right there until SGA became alive in the third. If that happens again, if SGA takes until the third quarter for him to come alive, you just can't bank on Dort to carry you, like he did. Like he filled the void that SGA usually has in the first, or usually is taken care of in the first half. So yeah, SGA has to get going early for me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. This is it's a different matchup. It's a different tone to this game. Here's the question: have we seen Gobert is playing? Have we seen that? I thought
he's
I
off
saw
his
that.
suspension,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at the injury report right now. Let me scroll down to Minnesota. He is listed as day-to-day. So is Towns. I mean, come on, they're playing. They're playing. Out is McDaniels and Reed.
Yeah, they actually
there's
got
a third person.
Jalen Noel. They've
he's
actually got
listed to-
Cat as doubtful.
Well, as of yesterday on the injury report, it says day-to-day.
Oh, listen, I'm looking at an old. No, I'm not. I'm looking
This
at
is
one.
per ESPN.
Okay.
As
Yeah,
of
I'm on
April
ESPN right now.
13th, it says maybe it's been upgraded.
This has got. It has the one I'm looking at has Poku out
Yes.
on April 13th. Jaden McDaniels out on the 10th, and then the 13th doubtful for Cat, Jalen Noel, and Rudy Gobert.
Listen, if they don't go, then this should be a
Well.
big. This should. I mean, come on. Thunder.
Point is, they're going to go.
They're going to play.
They're going to play. And so, how in the world does Oklahoma City combat? Gobert is one thing, but Karl Anthony Towns is a monster. And here's a little secret: if you didn't pay attention over the past, his whole career, Karl Anthony Towns has destroyed the Thunder in his career. Steven Adams, he would roast Steven Adams every time they played. This matchup just looks like the absolute worst one you could possibly pick for Oklahoma City because of the lack of defensive presence inside at the rim. I mean, I just can't see Karl Anthony Towns not getting 30. I just don't see how he doesn't get 30. So at that point, Jared, to me, is this one of those situations where you go, okay, Towns is getting his. We got to make sure nobody else gets there.
Well, that's what I wrote down was play better around them, Towns and Gobert. Play better around them. Play better off ball. Force those two to beat you, basically. Put the burden on them, if you will, and let everyone else, try to – does that make sense?
Sure it does.
You got to play better around them. My question is, who's going to guard Towns? We could put Dort on him? No. Who are you going to put on him? How do you defend him? And
you
don't.
Kind of
what you said. There's really no defense of him. Let him get his. I mean, just don't not guard him, but you know what I mean. But I wrote down, you just play better around him. Everyone else, try to make the rest of the Timberwolves beat you.
I mean, it's good, as hard and as fun as Arkansas Williams. He plays hard. I think you might actually see Sarr tonight. I think you're going to have to see Sarr tonight.
You have to.
Or, I mean, in the matchup against New Orleans, Oklahoma City played 48 minutes without a center. They played 5 out the entire night. And it worked to their advantage in a lot of ways because Willie Green was dumb enough to take Valanciunas off the floor. That ain't happening tonight. It doesn't matter what lineup you throw out there. Towns and Gobert are going to play without any shadow of a doubt. So, man, it's just hard to see it. The way that it happens. I mean, if you could get one of those or both in foul trouble, I don't know how you're going to do it, but if you could, that would be nice. But the way that I can see the Thunder winning this is kind of one-pronged, and that is make a boatload of threes. I mean, a boatload. And so in Isaiah Joe, if he can have one of those 6-for-9s, the two Jalen Williams went 1 for 12 against New Orleans. You'd like to think that's going to be better, but at the same time, you had 3 of 7 and 4 of 8 from Giddey and Dort. So what's that? 7 out of 15. That probably not going to happen to that level. But if they can, I just think that's the way it has to happen. You got to make a boatload of threes. Then maybe that draws the defense a little bit. Next thing you know, you got Shea slithering around at the rim, scoring a bunch of points that way. It almost, as much as it feels like Oklahoma City can't guard Minnesota, if OKC can make some shots from the outside, maybe Minnesota can't guard them either. And so you're looking to win an absolute shootout here, I think is the only way that Oklahoma City can win this game. If you get into one of those uglier 98, 95, or 104 to 100 or whatever's, it just doesn't feel like OKC can win a game like that, to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
I'm getting some text on crazy occurrences in sports. I was trying to figure out what that one was. I didn't recognize that name. Did you see McCollum's comments? C.J. McCollum.
Yes, I did. You got it in front of you?
Do you have the quote? I was wanting to actually quote it. I mean, I could summarize what he said.
Well, I had it, and come on. Here we go. Okay. He said, where are you at? Okay, you ready for it?
Yeah.
We've got to be available. We've got to do what we need to do off the court in terms of preparation, in terms of getting treatment, in terms of getting the right sleep, the right type of hydration, having the right type of diet. That was C.J. McCollum after losing on Wednesday.
Do you feel like that was a shot at anybody in particular?
Absolutely. Absolutely a shot at Zion.
It's got to be a shot at Zion, right?
Yes.
How frustrated must it be to not only just be a Pelicans player, a fan, the front office, all of it? Because, man, when they had Zion and when he played for the first couple of months, like I said, what were they, 23-11? They were just a game out of first place in the West, and it turns into that. And then when you hear, I mean, it almost seemed like health-wise he could play, But then he says, well, I don't feel like Zion. I don't feel like myself. What does that mean?
It screams lazy to me. I'm putting it bluntly here. It just screams lazy.
Is it laziness, or is it more of the Ben Simmons / Kyrie Irving don't really want to play basketball anyways?
Which, I mean, was it a passion, lack of passion, lack of love for the game? Laziness is a little bit of everything coupled into one. I don't know.
Was it just too easy? Because he was so bigger and more athletic than everybody, and now that but hell, when he plays, it looks pretty easy.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those weird things, and a lot of people want to compare it to, he's missed less games than what Embiid missed the first 3 years or what have you. But you never really got the sense that Embiid didn't want to play basketball.
No,
he was just hurt.
He was just hurt.
Unless maybe he did. Maybe they're just not telling us the whole story. But so maybe he really did just completely shred his hamstring and have to get it rebuilt, and the team's not doing him any favors by not letting everybody know exactly what the extent of that injury was. Maybe that's true.
Wouldn't that deflect a lot of the blame, though, if the team just came out and said, this is exactly what happened to him? We're not here screaming. I mean, it would help if the Thunder had tanked this year and, like, man, really, Chet? That injury kept you out all year? Come on. But
I got mad at my fantasy football team when Keenan Allen would hurt his hamstring and he didn't play till week 10.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the worst hamstring injury since that one. I mean, Brian Robinson got shot literally in the preseason and played before Keenan Allen did. Like, no kidding. Literally got shot with a gun and still played. And Zion's in that same boat right now. It almost doesn't feel like he really wants to be out there. And so then he wasn't. That's a huge problem for the Pelicans because he signed that extension last summer. And so they're on the hook for a whole bunch of money here. And then how untradeable does he become untradeable? Because no one can trust that he'll be out there?
Well, I think the real concern, another concern is this is C.J. McCollum's the guy they brought in. He just signed a 2-year deal with them. So he's with them. Well, that's never in concrete. But it's not so much trading him, it's attracting talent to come in.
Right.
Like, I don't want to play with this guy.
He's not going to play.
Or I'm not going to even play with this guy.
Yeah.
Why you're calling yourself a super team, a big 3 or 4 or whatever. No, you're not. He's not even on the court. I think he's lazy. I've after all this and McCollum's obviously frustrated. I think he might be speaking for a lot of the locker room with that comment, and he did it in such a way.
He was nice about it.
He was nice about it. He
really
was calm about it. He wasn't over the top or anything. And I just think, and we'll see. But I think maybe I wrote down he gets fatter. I think Zion just is lazy. I don't think it doesn't light a fire. He's like, I'm Zion. This whole franchise, they drafted me to build around me. What are they going to do? I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong when I make these assessments about people. Prove me wrong. But I don't see any change. And I think what's really scary if you're a New Orleans fan is not so much about Zion. It's about who's going to say, I want out. I don't want to be here. Because this guy is bringing me down. I only have an X amount of time left in my career. So I want to go somewhere where they're going to win, where they want to win, where they want to play. And then other people are going to go, okay, well, I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
I'm not signing that deal. Any free agents or anybody that might.
Which it's a hard place to get someone to go to anyway.
Right.
In New Orleans. I mean, we've seen that here. New Orleans isn't great shakes ahead of what Oklahoma City is. And the one draw you had was to play with Zion.
Yeah.
And then if he's not going to play, that craters your franchise pretty easily. All right, I'm going to ask you one last question on the NBA, then we'll take a break, and we'll get to all these crazy occurrences in sports.
Okay.
Who has the most pressure to win the NBA title? What team or teams have the most pressure to win?
Oh, wow. You got your favorites, and I don't want it. That seems like the obvious answer. You got your number 1 seeds, and okay, you're 1 seed, you are expected to win. It just seems too easy of an answer. I think maybe the Lakers because they reconfigured their roster at the trade deadline, by moving Russ and bringing some pieces in. And it looks like that kind of shored up some problems, and they're playing some good basketball. And there's, it's the Lake Show in the playoffs. They won against Minnesota, and Anthony Davis and LeBron are looking good. They're good players. As soon as Memphis maybe beats them, I mean, I have them in the finals, in the Western Conference Finals. But as soon as whenever they get bounced from the playoffs, you know how the LA market is. They're going to shred them apart. So I think there might be some pressure there, a lot of pressure there. Kind of an offshoot answer there, but how about you?
I had them like 3C. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, LeBron getting older, and they're both on the same kind of contract year-wise. Mm-hmm. They're back next year with the player option the year after.
But really, I can answer that anytime, any season. There's always pressure in LA. Well, when you're the Lakers, when you're wearing that uniform, they expect championships.
The one thing about the Lakers is they've shown the ability throughout their organizational history to make things happen that others can't because it's LA, because it's the Lakers. Now listen, I'm not sitting here saying it's going to be tough if they happen to lose LeBron and Anthony Davis at the same time. Yeah, that's going to make them go down pretty far. But eventually they're going to come back. You know they will, right? It'll happen. For me, I've got Denver, and it's not top seed does matter, but it's also, man, they have been terrible. They have not performed in the playoffs outside of the bubble with this group. And so was that more the bubble? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm, is that just the bubble is why they were good, and not necessarily because they're great? So I've got Denver, and yes, they have Jokic locked up. He signed a 5-year extension. I mean, next year he's at 46.9, then 50.6, then 54.4, then 58.1, and then in 28 he's got a 61.9 player option. Those are millions, by the way, if you're not following. Does he get restless? Doesn't seem like it. He doesn't seem like the rest of these guys, but, you know, I've got him. Number 2, I've got Boston. They were in the finals last year, but then, you know, the Jaylen Brown stuff, it almost feels like this is it. Like he's going to be asking out. Because he every time it's a trade deadline, every time it's the draft, you try to figure out how can we get player X to Boston to play with Jason Tatum. The guy that's always in that mix of going out is Jaylen Brown. Mm-hmm. So is this the last Brown-Tatum group chance to win it? And I think that puts pressure. And then I've got Phoenix with Chris Paul, older, lots of pressure on him to finally get it done.
Yeah.
To me, they feel like the favorite. They'd be 3, and then I've got 3Cs. Like 3B, I've got the Clippers. Because you never know what's going to happen with Kawhi.
Right.
You just don't ever know what's going to happen. And those guys are next year and then player options for the year after that, both Kawhi and Paul George. You got the Russ factor. You know, something we really hadn't talked about. And maybe this just goes to show how maybe overblown that was, but there was a lot of motion at the time. We haven't even talked about the fact that Russ is going to play KD in a series.
Yeah, people tried to create that that rivalry. They tried to re-spark it, I guess. Someone asked him about any animosity towards KD, and he deflected it pretty well. He said, "Nah,
no beef, no beef."
Like, you know, all the reporters probably went, "Oh man, I really wanted to get a juicy answer there so I could tweet it." Yeah, Russ a little bit mature on that answer.
That'd have been great if he'd have just said,
"Yeah, man. Yeah, he left us in OKC." Punk.
I guess, did you listen to the Total Dominance Hour? I guess Dean got into a DMing war with KD.
No way.
Yeah.
Jeez, KD, stay off the phone, man. Stay off your socials or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude is so soft. He's proven everybody's point when he responds to stuff like that.
All right, here we go. I've got some answers. The most improbable occurrences in sports. We'll come back, talk about them to wrap up the week on the Garrison Financial Friday here on the Skinny on Sports.
Hello, my name is Scott Garrison. You may remember me as Scott the Barber or just as Ron and Carla's son. I've been involved in our community since opening Scott's Barbershop on the southeast corner of 3rd and Main in 1998. Now I'm back in the same building as Garrison Financial. I started investing in my 20s. I invested through the dot-com crash and the Great Recession. I started caring for other people's money in 2018, and I truly enjoy sitting down with my clients, understanding their wants and needs as well as what keeps them up at night. Whether my friends just want me to invest a little of their savings or want me to work with their tax and legal professionals to strive towards optimal efficiency, we can do it all. I believe communication is key to helping my clients reach their goals. For if we are faithful over a few things, we shall be given more. Contact me at scott@soonerwealth.com. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Garrison Financial and Cambridge are not affiliated. This communication is strictly intended for individuals residing in the states of Colorado, Nevada, Oklahoma, and Texas. No offers may be made or accepted from any resident outside the specific states referenced. Cambridge does not offer tax and legal advice.
The Skinny on Sports.
All right, welcome back. Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Wrapping up the week here on a Garrison Financial Friday. Hey, do you like to to dabble in with the markets and manage your stuff, but you're just not sure? You'd love to do it, but you don't know how to get started? Scott can do that for you. He can charge you hourly, set you up a plan that then you can in turn manage from there, or he can just manage your stuff all the way. Either way, he loves to work with accountants. Perfect time of year to highlight that. Working with the accountant, with your accountant, streamlining all your ramifications tax wise, whatever tax returns you have to file. He can do all of that for you. Scott at SoonerWealth.com, 124 North Main Street in Elk City. That's Garrison Financial. Scott Garrison was in here earlier, hanging out with us on a Friday. Okay, Jared. This popped in my mind because a couple of nights ago, down in Arlington, Bobby Witt Jr. was at the plate. He fouls off a pitch down the right field line, and it ends that foul ball ends up in the hands of his dad, Bobby Witt Sr., in the suite that he was in there at Globe Life. I mean, that's just the odds of that happening aren't very good. And it got me to thinking, okay, what are some other instances that were just so improbable that you went, we'll never see that again? A common theme on the text line, and you can still text us, 225-9698, a common theme was Randy Johnson hitting the bird with the pitch in spring training.
Yeah.
Just absolutely disintegrating a bird with a 100-mile-an-hour left-handed fastball.
Yeah, you've never seen that again.
That was a very, very common one that everybody has done. This one popped in my head. If you want to, Scott, just text us. If you want to just talk about plays in sports, the Immaculate Reception is absolutely one of those where you went, never see that again.
Right.
Turns out, I believe, it was an illegal play. But
debatable. People would look at a camera angle and touch the ground.
The Immaculate Non-Reception. And it's waiting on my phone to buzz.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there was that. Tyrell had Fernando Tatis with 2 grand slams in one inning.
That's crazy.
Also in the Cardinals organization in Double-A. Let me get this guy's name, because this probably won't happen either. Chandler Redmond had a home run cycle, meaning a solo shot, a 2-run shot, a 3-run shot, and a grand slam.
Yeah, that's improbable.
That was pretty improbable. What did you kind of come up with?
Well, I want to give credit to Tommy here. Sergio climbing a tree to hit his golf ball.
Yeah, Tommy Easter. Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah. I had I wrote them down. Well, you'll never see a 5th down in college football again. I'm just kind of
yeah, it's true.
With replay and
especially one that leads you to a national title,
right? As
it did Colorado.
Yeah, and wasn't it also Colorado? You talk about controversial catches. Was it against Nebraska, or it hit like a foot?
It was against Mizzou.
It
was in Nebraska. Yeah, Matt Davidson.
Hit the foot.
Nebraska.
And they caught it.
Yeah, Nebraska. What was that? 97. Scott Frost threw it in there at Mizzou. Supposedly it's illegal to kick it up. It didn't look like he really did that.
It just kind of
happened.
Yeah,
and he caught it.
Yeah, that was crazy. That catch was it Alabama? The guy caught it behind the defender's back. I mean, there's some crazy. I think about probabilities.
Tyrone Prothro.
Yeah. think about probabilities of actually making catches and stuff like that, that stands out. How about this one? It's your last. You're a professional athlete, and it's your last game of your career, and you hit 60 points in NBA. Kobe's last game. You think we'll ever see a guy go out like that and hit 60 points? What are the chances of that ever happening?
Was it Ted Williams and homered on his last at bat?
I think you're right.
Didn't doff his cap to the crowd because he hated him.
I think you're right.
And then he gets frozen cryogenically. That's pretty improbable. There's another one. There's one I just thought of.
Those are the only ones
I've got mine. The one that I think is the most improbable of everything we just said comes from golf. But I just thought of another one. I know this has happened before, but Brian Harmon a few years ago made 2 holes in one in the same round on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
But that's not even the most improbable one I have from golf.
What do you got?
Do you remember a couple of years ago, maybe even last year, they were over, was it Scotland? It wasn't the British Open. I think it was like the Scottish Open right before. And Will Zalatoris is off the green, and he chips it, and it rolls past the pin, and it comes to rest on Matthew Fitzpatrick's coin.
Oh, yes. Yes, I remember that. That was good.
That ain't ever. You said earlier, and I almost blurted this one out. But when you said like, oh, you could try to hit a bird with the ball, you could try to chip your ball onto somebody's coin for the rest of your life, and it would never stay on there, ever.
No. What was the ruling on that? Actually, what was?
I think
the ruling on that.
One of them had to putt first. I mean, they were exactly
right
obviously exactly the same. Actually, Zalatoris probably had to putt first. You know why? Because in the coin, the ball is out. You know, Fitzpatrick's ball was actually a little bit in front of where the middle of that coin would rest, right? Mm-hmm. So he'd have to move it or whatever. But the fact that I mean, that is so improbable.
Yeah, that's not. That's the thing you won't see.
It's such an anomaly. Yeah. Oh, it's such an anomaly. But that, I mean, you know how I knew it was a big deal? Because you remember what happened as soon as the ball stopped and everybody realized, holy crap, that stayed on. You remember what happened? Huh. They all went to their golf bags and started snapping pictures of it and putting it on like Instagram. Like, look at this! Look what just happened in our round of golf.
You're better. The chances are more likely of hitting a hole in one than doing what he did.
Oh, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%.
People pulling out their cameras and stuff. That's when you do it on the golf course. Hey, look at my hole in one. You hold up the one. Yeah, everyone's pulling out their camera for that.
Yeah, like didn't even know it was like it never even occurred to anybody that was possible.
Even going to happen.
Even though it can happen on every single hole.
And it's something
all around the world.
Everyone's going to see it. Like, hey, look, he's chipping. You think he's going to get on that marker again?
It was just that was.
Hey, remember when you did that? He's probably sick of hearing about it.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Ever since it happened, he hurt his back, and now he just had back surgery.
Wow.
Maybe it's because people were patting him on it for hitting that shot. But anyhow, that was one of those things that's just like, you ain't never seeing that one again.
Nah.
Ever. So that was some of the ones came up with everybody. But the Randy Johnson one, those were the two that immediately popped in my mind when I saw the Bobby Witt thing was, golly, what else was just crazy? And those were the two. And everybody, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, 2 on my phone, 4 on the text line, immediately said Randy Johnson hitting the bird. Randy Johnson hitting the bird.
Yeah.
We did have a text earlier. Are you? Do you think the Redskin fans or the Commanders fans feels like they're probably pretty fired up right now?
I think the whole sports world is
to not have Dan Snyder as the.
But yeah,
owner.
If you're a Washington fan, you're pretty happy about it because you can see a change of leadership does wonders.
It can.
It can. It depends, but. See how proactive they can be as far as on-field product is concerned and making their moves and everything. So,
and the one thing you see a lot of times when a new group comes in, they immediately want to spend some money to make an impact. Mm-hmm. So that could happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, I realize there's a salary cap and all that, but there's ways to do that.
Do they go and get Lamar?
Yeah, Sergio hit the ball out of the tree.
Yeah, that was on there earlier.
Yeah, There's been some crazy ones.
I could see them getting Lamar. Washington, that is. You talk
Yeah,
about
maybe
making an impact.
Make a splash at the draft, doing something like that. Back to this list right quick. I know we got to go. So the Seattle Mariners were the last team on this list to sell. They sold for $1.4 billion. Do you know who owned them at the time of that sale?
No.
One of the biggest cultural icons of our time.
Who owned the Mariners?
Bought the Mariners in 1992.
Is it Nintendo?
It was. It's exactly who it was.
Because I remember watching Mariners games. You always see an ad, Nintendo ad behind.
That's exactly who it was.
For whatever game or whatever's coming up, or just Nintendo.
Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good, Jared. You have passed the class, at least today. Thanks, everybody, for texting in. Thunder tonight. You can hear them right here. 7 o'clock pregame, 8:30 scheduled tip for Thunder versus the T-Wolves.
Thank goodness it's a Friday night, not like it was Wednesday night. That was rough yesterday.
That's right. 98.1 FM, 12:40 a.m. tonight. Thunder versus Wolves. A win puts them to Denver on Sunday. Everybody have a great weekend. We will be back on Monday at Sayre National with the Skinny on Sports.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.
That ball is blistered to right. Way back. Goodbye.
Hello, my name is Scott Garrison. You may remember me as Scott the Barber or just as Ron and Carla's son. I've been involved in our community since opening Scott's Barbershop on the southeast corner of 3rd and Main in 1998. Now I'm back in the same building as Garrison Financial. I started investing in my 20s. I invested through the dot-com crash and the Great Recession. I started caring for other people's money in 2018, and I truly enjoy sitting down with my clients, understanding their wants and needs as well as what keeps them up at night. Whether my friends just want me to invest a little of their savings or want me to work with their tax and legal professionals to strive towards optimal efficiency, we can do it all. I believe communication is key to helping my clients reach their goals. For if we are faithful over a few things, we shall be given more. Contact me at scott@soonerwealth.com. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Garrison Financial and Cambridge are not affiliated. This communication is strictly intended for individuals residing in the states of Colorado, Nevada, Oklahoma, and Texas. No offers may be made or accepted from any resident outside the specific states referenced. Cambridge does not offer tax and legal advice.